Tonight on Cosmic Cantina, we're finally doing the obligatory Black-Eyed Kids episode, people. Get excited, because we're looking at the historical evidence, the classic tales, and then dive into a few new stories. Aliens, demons, children in black. What the actual fuck are these beings? Whatever they are, we don't want any part of their shenanigans, so only answer the door if you see us, because we're coming in. I'm your host, Melissa Tittle, and every week I go to my favorite bar, Cosmic Cantina, and kick back with my co-hosts, Josh Golombeski and Matt O'Connor. We talk about aliens, Bigfoot, ghosts, ancient cultures, and anything from the unseen world that needs a little illumination. Welcome to Cosmic Cantina. I'm your host, Melissa Tittle, and tonight I am drinking a classy Spanish Rojo wine. It's called Casa Primacera, and it is good.
That does sound classy.
What are you drinking?
Classic.
I, too, am drinking some red wine. I got a Shiraz from the McLaren Vale in my home country of Australia. And it's called Jester. And that's about right. Fucking great.
For you.
Yeah. I'm at the bottom of this thing already, and
nice.
Things are looking up, guys.
I've had a couple glasses too. We're gonna rock this podcast.
It's gonna be good. Good episode. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Josh, what do you got?
Besides depression, well, I have ghostfish. You know my answer. Ghostfish is my one true love. I do want to quickly say, besides talking about ghostfish every time, that I recently saw the new documentary, The Phenomenon, by Jamie Foxx, not the actor, famed UFO director Jamie Foxx. It's really cool. I don't think we should pod about it, but it's really awesome. Everyone should watch it and definitely share with your friends who don't know anything about it or think it's all bullshit, because it lays it out better than any documentary's ever laid it out. It's probably the best documentary ever made about is it real or not. Here's the evidence. Boom.
Ooh. It's like a 101?
Yeah, it's very 101, but really well done.
Okay. Nice. All right.
I like it. All right. Cool. Well, we got something special tonight. Something kitschy that everybody likes to talk about. It's called Black-Eyed Kids. Yeah. Ooh. I said it.
Don't know if you've heard about it.
Yeah.
For all you people that are just tuning in, you're like, I don't know what that is. But for the people in the space, this is like a big thing. Black-Eyed Kids. They're scary.
Yep. I think it's a prerequisite of all paranormal type podcasts at some point to do a Black-Eyed Kids episode, so here's ours.
Yeah, so we wanted to do our own version, so we got really drunk before we started recording, and we thought that's how we would start off, and just see if they showed up. Yeah. Knock, knock. No one's there. Okay, so for instance...
Don't invite that shit. Oh my God.
No, don't even think about it, yeah.
I've read way too many creepy stories lately.
Yeah, watch out. Watch out with your research. It might come find you if you focus on it too much.
All right, stop it, guys.
All right, sorry. Sound like a dark and downer here. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
No, sorry.
Okay, so I'm going to start, as I always do, with an amazing article. But I found this... I'm taking you down a road of a little bit of, like, some ancient background on the whole black-eyed thing a little bit. We'll come back to it. It's not going to seem like it connects at first, but it will. And I just think it's interesting. So this one is from Real Clear Science. It's a website called Real Clear Science. In case Real Science wasn't enough, this website's called Real Clear Science.
Really clear. Yep. It's very not foggy
clear.
at all.
Okay. No, not foggy at all. It's very clear. Okay. Yep. Crystal clear. Here we go. Ancient humans' eyes were nearly black. Future humans could have all new colors. So this article goes into when humans were born in Africa, at least 250,000 years ago, human eyes were extremely dark brown or nearly black because of the conditions that were on the planet. As humans migrated out of Africa and, of course, temperatures changed and skin tones changed, then, of course, we had all these different kind of genetic changes with the eyes. Green eyes came out of the Middle East, and blue eyes came out of more northern areas where they weren't exposed to as much sunlight. But then what it goes into is that because of how the world is changing and how we are operating in the world, actually a new generation of new colors are going to come out. So, like, more yellow eyes, more red eyes. I mean, there's some people that have those hues already, but there's going to be different colors that are going to come out based on how we work in the world today, which is really interesting.
Interesting, okay.
But just to think that the first humans on this planet had black eyes, right?
Wow, prehistoric people were creepy.
Creepy. So,
Wait, hold on. Before you go on, do we know,
Right.
is it the pupil or is it the entire eye? Because that's two different levels of different. If it's just your pupil, that's still cool and different. I'm not saying it's not interesting, but like
The iris,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Yes.
I think
so
it's just the iris, yeah.
Yeah, it's just the iris. So it's just the irises, but which is still like if you saw somebody with like a black iris, that's still
Oh yeah,
unusual.
I'd be like
I mean-
reptilian, Men in Black. Something's going on.
right. Something's
I would
going on,
immediately
right?
jump to something outrageous. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's still
It
unusual.
does look
So
odd, yeah.
It
Like
is
the
not
pure
the
black
full
eye.
eye like the black-eyed kids. It's just the iris. Correct.
Okay.
So
Cool.
But I'm bringing this up because we're going to come full circle. So something else interesting, and I know we've kind of mentioned it in this podcast. Maybe we didn't make a podcast out of it, but the oldest site that's been documented, oldest ancient site that's been documented in the world so far is in Turkey. It's between 13,000 14,000 years old as of now. They're still digging to the bottom of it, so it might be 20,000 years old. The sculptures in there, they found a sculpture of a man, and he's called the Urfa man. And the Urfa statue has these obsidian black stones for eyes. Ooh. And so I'm just letting you know this because maybe this is the connection with the black irises, maybe. Or could it be something else? Because Göbekli Tepe in Turkey is this ancient site that is these kind of circular structures, these big stones, and they have all these carvings of like people and animals and all that kind of stuff. But it's very ceremonial. So nobody knows really what they were doing there, but it definitely feels like a very ancient Stonehenge, if you will, but with carvings. All the stones have all the carvings in it of all these different animals and people.
Super magical place. Yeah, love that.
super, like, definitely a place that they were doing some kind of ritual there. But, so the Urfa man was found there with black obsidian eyes, which is different, I would have to say.
Yeah.
And so, because I like my little digging in the dirt section of the show.
Dig in the dirt. Cosmic Cantina's most popular segment by far. That shit rates.
There's no way to measure that. We can't say that for sure.
Matt, I think it is. Digging in the dirt.
So dirty.
Stop it, you guys. Anyway, I want to bring this up because I feel like, Matt is about to kind of go into the history of the Black-Eyed Kids and the writer, Bethel, and kind of his origin of the story that happened to him, and then people started reporting all these stories that happened to him. I just want to make the reference that the idea of black eyes and possibly black-eyed people, if we go back to Göbekli Tepe, maybe this is something that's ancient. This is something that's been going on for a very long time. And I'm not talking about people that have black irises, but if the black-eyed Urfa man is found in Göbekli Tepe, which is about 14,000 years old, maybe there is a connection to something supernatural that's been happening for a long time. Just a thought.
Yeah, I wish we knew more about the Urfa man. It's really spooky. You sent that article. They don't really know. It's too old and too obscure. I think it's fascinating, though. It's definitely really haunting. I think what we're finding out about Black-Eyed Kids is like, it's hard to prove that it has a historical context in the traditional sense of the way they're forming. My question, and I'll get into it later, is have they appeared in different ways before? And this is just the modern version of them. So I don't know if there will be like a strong historical context to like really back it up. But what you brought up is super interesting, and I think is really haunting. Because those statues, we'll post it. I mean, it's not they're definitely not. I don't know. They don't seem nice. It doesn't seem like it's like a fertility message. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's got something attached to it.
Drink a bunch of wine and have sex and make babies. Nope, I don't feel like this guy was saying that at all.
No. He was like, a statue to the god of reach
let
around.
Me in.
He's a good guy, surprisingly.
Guy.
Yeah, lovely guy.
Yeah.
Host Sunday barbecues.
Yeah, just let me in. It's all good. It's all good. All right, Matt, break it down. Talk about the first story, which was, the first story that we know of in this modern day was 1996.
Sure.
By
the kind of the breakout story is he's a reporter by the name of Brian Bethel, and if you look this up. And if you haven't heard it already, I'd be very surprised. So I'm just going to do a quick nutshell version of it because, it's been told like a billion times already before. But Brian is a reporter in Abilene, Texas. And so this happened in 1996, but he wrote it in I guess it was an online forum, I guess. He was trying to find answers about it because it kind of stirred him up a little bit, apparently.
Yeah.
In 98, and then it just became this like huge thing all of a sudden. Kind of resonated with people, I guess. It's a super creepy story. But I guess there's a lot of... Well, we'll talk about it in a minute. Let me go through the story real quick first. So Brian is basically sitting in his car outside a theater. I think he said he was like filling out a check using the lights of this movie theater to kind of fill out the check because he was about to post it. Anyway, so as he's sitting there in the car, these two kids sort of start walking up towards his car. He said they both had hoodies on, pretty innocuous-looking kids. One looked about 10, the other looked about 14. He said the 14-year-old, who he referred to as the spokesman because he was really the only one who spoke during this whole encounter, he had like this olive skin, and this actually turns up a lot in alien abduction stories, this kind of Men in Black as well, and other different kind of encounters. Is this like olive skin, dark features. Sometimes they're referred to in the old school as Oriental. I won't use that word, but we'll go to Asian kind of looking people. And the younger kid was actually a redhead kid with pale skin, which also pops up in a bunch of these black-eyed kid stories, I guess. So these two kids, he thinks they're kind of looking for money, but as they're approaching the car, he starts to feel this deep dread hit him. Like he's afraid, like this flight or fight response starts kicking in. And he's really wary of the kids. They're not making eye contact with him. They're kind of looking down. And he cracks the window a little bit and says, "Hey, what's up, fellas? What do you need?" Because they come right to his car door and they say, "Can you give us a ride home? We were going to go see this movie at the time, and we forgot our money. Can you give us a lift back to our place?" So he's immediately like caught off guard. Like he's like, really weird for kids to be asking that. And again, he's got this like deep-seated fear that's just he won't let him, like, won't ease off. He just
isn't that interesting? Like something on the inside, like spiritually, he's recognizing something's off, and he's just can't. And it just gives him. That's a weird reflex that I've only felt a few times in my life. You just know something's off, but you can't quite put your head on it.
Yeah, it's a sixth sense. Yeah, and I guess that happens in basically every one of these black-eyed stories that you dig up.
Right, everyone.
They feel this fear. Anyway, so he doesn't really say much to these kids, and they start sort of saying to him, "Hey, we're just kids." Which is, again, a really weird thing to say. Like, hey, we're just kids. Like, trying to convince you, we're just kids. We're not going to hurt you. And
I'm a nice guy. Everything's fine.
Yeah. Right. That's how guys hit on you, right? I'm a really nice guy.
Yeah. Let me
Are you walking to your car alone later tonight? Anyway, so these... so he doesn't really say much to him. And one of the things they say back to him again is... It won't take long. Again, another thing that, pops up in these stories again and again. And they also say to him, which really freaked him out, they say, "We don't have a gun or anything," which was, he was just like, okay, we're done here. We are done here. So when they said that, it kind of snapped him out a little bit. And here's another curious kind of point to these stories is that people feel like they're under some sort of hypnosis during this encounter.
Ooh.
And I guess the lucky ones are able to snap away from it for a second, and he kind of looks away. And he says in the short time that he'd broken the gaze with the spokesman, the older kid at the front, something changed and his mind exploded into a vortex of all-consuming terror. Like just that phrase just threw him out for a second, and he was able to kind of focus. And that's when he noticed that these boys kind of looked up at him with these coal black eyes, soulless orbs, just staring back at him. So he basically just kind of tears off. He's like done with this. Like fight or flight kicks in. He chooses flight, obviously. Winds a window up, tears off, and he says, he goes all the way home, closes the door, and he said he gets back inside and he sits on the floor in front of his door just shaking because whatever is just like building up inside of him. He's just like, all that happened is these two little kids came and asked for money, and it just sent me into this spiral of terror. Mm-hmm. And so there's things that happen. I might go into them in a little bit because we'll get to that point. But recently, so I picked up this book, the David Weatherly authored book called Black-Eyed Children. Mm-hmm. And it's the revised second edition. So I guess when he wrote the first edition of this, he wasn't able to get hold of Brian Bethel. to begin with, and there's a reason for that. I guess Bethel was kind of inundated with people trying to get hold of him all the